long motorcycle trip has mistakes waiting to happen. Some are small but stacked together. They derail your whole ride. In this video, I'll share the 15 most common errors and how to avoid each one. One of the easiest details riders dismiss is ear protection. Earplugs often seem optional. The engine sounds fine, the road noise feels normal. But at highway speed, the wind rushing around your helmet quickly turns into a silent threat. That steady blast doesn't just put your hearing at risk, it also drains your energy far faster than you expect. One rider reported long-term ringing after years of skipping earplugs on longer trips. His experience is a reminder that constant exposure builds up over time. Wind noise at highway speed can easily exceed safe hearing levels and wears you down over a full day, which is why the long trip guides and the research recommend earplugs as essential kit. And the fix couldn't be simpler. Use purpose-made earplugs designed for riders. They cut wind roar while keeping intercoms and music clear. Protecting your hearing is easy, but riders don't just ignore safety. They often carry too much, which creates its own problems. Packing for a long trip often feels responsible at first. You want to cover every possibility, so spare clothes, tools, and even camping extras get tossed into the bags. On a motorcycle, though, that just-in-case approach quickly turns into a heavy, unstable load. Every added item changes the way your bike responds. Suspension has to work harder, tires wear faster, and steering becomes less precise. Riders who double up on boots or bring duplicate gear often notice the difference on the first winding road when the bike feels sluggish and harder to control. Even moderate added weight noticeably alters handling. You'll feel it immediately in corners and during braking. The most effective way to pack is with restraint. Essentials only, nothing extra. Do a shorter test ride with your bike fully loaded, then strip out anything you didn't actually use. Pack with a rule of thumb. Compartmentalize gear in dry bags or boxes so you can remove weight quickly if needed. That discipline keeps the ride secure. And while the way you load your bike matters, the way you carry weight on your body creates a whole different burden of its own. Strapping on a backpack feels like no big deal. It seems convenient to stash a few items and keep them close. But once you've been in the saddle for hours, that small load becomes constant pressure against your shoulders. The straps dig in, circulation slows, and your posture shifts forward. Muscles work harder just to stay balanced, and what felt light at first turns into a steady drain on energy. Some riders report numbness and fatigue after days riding with heavy backpacks. Even hydration packs can cause problems. The weight pulls backward, traps heat against your back, and accelerates fatigue. If you must carry one, do a full-day test ride. Watch for shoulder pressure or tingling in your arms. If it shows up, move that water to a pannier or tank bag. The smarter choice is always fixed luggage. Panniers, tank bags, or tail packs transfer the weight to the motorcycle, protect your posture, and preserve focus. Because when fatigue forces your body to struggle unnecessarily, you're less prepared to handle the real problems that can strike without warning. A flat tire doesn't wait for a convenient stop. It can strike on a remote stretch, after dark, or hours from the nearest shop. Imagine being in the middle of nowhere, no cell signal, and suddenly your rear tire goes soft. Without the tools to deal with it yourself, the ride simply ends there. Plenty of riders have faced that situation and ended up stranded, some camping roadside until help arrived. The difference often comes down to one small piece of gear, a compact tire plug kit, plus an inflation method. A hand pump, mini compressor, or CO2 cartridges takes up almost no space but can keep a trip alive. Store the kit somewhere you can always reach, like under the seat or in a tank bag, and practice once at home so you're not fumbling when it matters. If your route includes rough roads, inspect your tires before leaving and consider fresh rubber to lower the risk. Mechanical issues are only part of the challenge. Even a well-prepped bike can't ignore the forces you'll ride directly into next. When planning a long ride, it's easy to imagine clear skies day after day. The truth is far less predictable. Storms, sudden wind, or sharp temperature drops can arrive without warning. And if you're not ready, an enjoyable trip can quickly become a test of endurance. Riding into rain without proper layers chills the body fast, and once you're cold, focus slips. Heat is no better. On desert stretches, riders have pushed into dehydration and fatigue simply because they trusted the forecast. Mountain routes can shift in minutes, so you need to be ready for unexpected weather and carry layers that compress into a small pack. Always carry a packable rain suit and removable insulating layers so you can adjust from cold passes to hot valleys. Make it routine. Check the forecast each morning and again at major route changes. If high winds or storms are likely, start earlier or trim daily distance to save energy. Weather drains stamina, but so can the way you manage your own limits. Covering mile after mile without stopping may feel like progress, but your body sees it differently. Hours of constant focus and vibration slowly drain energy, even before you notice it happening. As fatigue builds, the warning signs creep in: slower reactions, fuzzy concentration, or rushing a corner you normally judge with ease. Dehydration multiplies those risks, pulling down coordination and clouding judgment. Many riders admit their head has nodded mid-ride, or that they've pushed past the point of clarity without realizing how far gone they were. Damon recommends short, regular stops every 1 to 2 hours to rehydrate and stretch. Even brief pauses reset reaction times and relieve tension. The practical routine is simple. Get off the bike, stretch your major muscle groups, drink 200 to 300 milliliters of water, and eat a small snack. Breaks are not wasted time. They're the maintenance stops for your body. But keeping yourself sharp means little if the machine you rely on hasn't been properly prepared. Some riders roll out assuming the bike is fine because it handled short commutes without issue. But skipping a pre-ride check often turns into trouble once you're deep into the trip. A dry chain under stress can lock or snap, tires lose grip when pressures are low, and a worn brake pad fades just when you need it most. The basic checklist takes only minutes. Before setting out, check tires and pressures, inspect tread depth and sidewalls for age or damage, clean and lube the chain, confirm oil and coolant levels, inspect brake pads, test lights and indicators, and give hoses and cables a quick tug. The background guidance emphasizes tire age and condition. Older or cracked rubber deserves extra scrutiny and replacement before a major ride. Make this routine. Do a walk around each morning and another quick systems check after the first hour. Catching problems early saves your trip, especially when the next challenge isn't mechanical, but comes from managing your range. A fuel gauge that looks comfortable can give a false sense of security. On city roads, stations feel constant, but on back roads or desert stretches, distances stretch out longer than you expect. Riders often discover too late that pumps can vanish for hundreds of kilometers, leaving them stranded with less fuel than planned. Some riders have been forced to push heavy bikes down the shoulder after misjudging the gap to the next stop, a mistake made worse in areas without cell service. The frustration and fatigue that come with it are avoidable. The practical fix is straightforward. Track your real-world fuel economy on a loaded test ride, then use that number, not the factory spec, to plan your riding legs. Add a safety margin by planning for 20 to 30% longer than map distances or topping up when the tank is at half. Top up early, not later, and carry a small legal reserve can for long stretches. Saving fuel stops for when you actually need them is smart, but balancing the other kind of stops takes just as much discipline. Managing brake times becomes even more complicated when you're riding with others. On your own, it's simple. Stop when you need to. In a group, though, one quick pause for fuel or a stretch can balloon into an hour as people wander off, order food, or adjust gear. On the flip side, pushing the group without planned pauses leaves riders stiff, tired, and less focused. Both extremes eat into the day's progress and drain energy. A better approach is to set timing rules before the ride. Agree on how long each kind of stop will last: 10 to 15 minutes for fuel and snacks, 30 to 45 minutes for a proper meal. Appoint a leave time signal so pauses don't extend unintentionally. Some teams use a 10-minute check. One rider counts down, signals departure, and anyone not ready accepts that the group will roll on and meet them at the next stop. It keeps breaks predictable and the ride flowing. That same discipline you apply to group timing should also guide how you handle the bike itself. Skipping small checks can cost far more than a delayed departure. A motorcycle is most reliable when you give it a moment of attention before rolling out. That's why overlooking a simple morning inspection causes more problems than riders expect. The details you miss in a rush, like a soft tire, a loose bolt, or a fraying cable, often surface hours later when help is hard to find. The walk-around takes 2 minutes and follows the same quick checks each day: tire pressure and visible damage, chain tension and lube, oil and coolant levels, lights and signals, brake feel, and a gentle tug on cables or bolts where you can reach. Many riders even tie it to their routine. Do it right after morning coffee so it becomes habit. This way, missing an inspection feels as strange as forgetting your helmet. Plenty of ride reports mention being stopped by a snapped clutch cable or similar failure that a quick tug test would have revealed. A few seconds spent checking prevents hours stranded roadside. Once the machine is set, the next question is whether the gear you're wearing is truly ready for the miles ahead. Don't choose gear based on looks alone. Comfort and protection must be proven on real rides. A jacket that feels fine in the shop can stiffen or pinch after hours in the saddle. Boots that are brand new may seem solid, but without being broken in, they often create hot spots that dig into your feet with every shift. What feels tolerable on a short run can become painful and distracting on a long tour. Some riders have learned this the hard way, cutting trips short because of raw blisters or pressure points that could have been avoided. The safer move is to break in boots and jackets on multi-hour rides well before you leave. Prefer full-season, ventilated gear that adapts to wide temperature ranges by adding or removing layers as needed. A simple test plan works. Wear your chosen gear on 2 or 3 full-day rides and note any discomfort points. Fix, swap, or adjust before the trip. Getting your equipment right is only half the preparation. The rest depends on how well your body can handle the ride itself. Many riders dismiss fitness and mindset as something only racers need to worry about. In reality, long-distance riding challenges your body and mind in ways you might not expect. Core muscles hold you steady against the wind, shoulders absorb vibration, and your focus works non-stop scanning for hazards. When unprepared, fatigue builds sooner than you realize. Plenty of riders hit walls by day 2 or 3. Muscles ache from the posture load, dehydration creeps in, and concentration slips. Even simple tasks like braking or holding a line take extra effort when strength fades. To counter this, build mileage progressively in the weeks before your trip. Start with a 50-mile day, then 100, then 150, until you reach your target range. Work on core strength and cardiovascular fitness as well. Even daily walks and short body weight routines noticeably improve stamina and alertness. Mindset matters just as much. Practice pacing and patience on shorter rides, and set a daily kilometer cap to stop ego-driven overreach. Training your body and discipline before the trip gives you the margin to adapt when conditions demand it, because on the road, rigidity can cause bigger problems than weakness. Many riders assume that planning the perfect route guarantees a smooth journey. Hours are spent mapping each leg, fixing arrival times, and locking in details. On the road, though, perfection can backfire when the slightest disruption throws the plan off balance. A single closure, traffic jam, or fatigue can shred a rigid schedule. One group found this out when a key mountain pass closed for maintenance. Instead of adjusting, they forced their timeline and ended up riding late into the night, exhausted, sour, and missing a scenic detour nearby. A better approach is to plan with built-in slack. Add about 20% to your mapped distance or time, so delays don't push you past safe limits. Use online mapping tools to set daily goals and mark 2 alternates, so choosing a detour is fast. When plans bend, use a decision rule. If weather, border delays, or fatigue cut more than one stop, drop the least unique destination and spend longer at the must-see places. Flexibility keeps the journey enjoyable, but even the best route planning means little if the people you ride with turn every stop or decision into a hidden source of friction. Riding in a group often feels like the best way to add safety and enjoyment. More company, more conversation, and shared moments on the road. But once the ride begins, mismatched habits surface quickly. Some riders hold a steady pace, while others surge ahead or ride aggressively. Breaks can turn into debates. One rider wants coffee every hour. Another insists on stretching only when fuel runs low. Left unchecked, these differences create tension that erodes the ride. Stories are common of friends finishing a trip frustrated, unsure if they'll ride together again. To prevent that, test compatibility before committing to a tour. Do a short multi-hour ride with your planned group first to reveal pace, stop preferences, and even gear quirks, an approach Pedro recommended for distilling riding styles. Before leaving, agree on pace, stop frequency, fuel strategy, and what happens if someone wants to split off. If conflicts escalate, don't hesitate to break the group up or ride alone for a stretch. It's better to protect the experience than force harmony. Because when you're free from that friction, what really matters is preserve the quality of the ride itself. It's It's not just mismatched groups that can derail a trip. Your own mindset can do the same when you forget that the journey itself matters. Many riders slip into the belief that distance equals accomplishment, measuring success by how many miles they clock or how quickly they reach the next stop. The problem is, this turns the ride into a checklist instead of an experience, stripping away the parts that make it memorable. When the focus is only on arrival, pressure builds. Riders skip scenic detours, push late into the night, or bypass towns that could have offered real moments. What could have been a story worth sharing gets traded for another rushed mile. Instead, schedule 30 to 60 minutes of unplanned time every day, call it the detour window, and treat using it as part of your plan. When delays happen, reframe them as fuel for stories, not failures. The ride is the reward, not the odometer. Before you head out, focus on 3 simple habits that make a real difference. Wear earplugs to protect your hearing and fight fatigue, do a quick morning walk around to catch problems early, and keep a compact tire plug kit with an inflation method ready for the unexpected. You won't be perfect, but these steps drastically lower the chance a small mistake ruins a trip. Freedom on long rides doesn't come from pushing luck, it comes from preparation, not chaos. Share your worst long trip mistake in the comments. Subscribe for more touring tips, and remember, ride smarter, not just farther.